on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to a fun reaction video. And I'm going to be reacting to a video I made, let's see the date of it, October 5th, 2021, as you can see up here. 5 NBA players I dislike for the 2021-2022 season. So yeah, this is a video that I made on players that I think were going to take a step back from their 2020-2021 seasons. Now, I don't think that they were going to be terrible. I didn't think they were going to be awful. It's just 5 players I didn't think were going to perform to their previous season. So yeah, we're going to be reacting to this. We're going to see if I went 5 for 5, if I went 0 for 5, and if I'm embarrassed about these. But yeah, if you guys enjoy these, drop a thumbs up. If this video gets 500 likes, I will do the same video I made 5 NBA players I like for 2021-2022. And we'll see if I was right about those. So yeah, if you guys also want to see these be a yearly thing, let me know down below. I think that much for this season. The intro of it is just like me explaining what the video is. And yeah, pretty much after every player's mentioned, I'll probably pull up their basketball reference, see if they were better or worse this year. The player on this list that was an All-NBA player last year. I'm not saying they're going to be bad this year. I already know who that is. I'm not going to say Matt right now. Like if you look at maybe the top 100 list, I think they're going to be worse than that at the end of the year because I don't really like them as much. That's why it's 5 guys that I hate, I guess. But yeah, this is just my subjective list. Let me know anybody out of the way first. And it is Julius Randle of the New York Knicks. I don't... Alright, before I look into the stats, let me just see what I have to say. I mean to keep hating on Julius Randle, because I'm a Knicks fan, and I'm so grateful for what he did last year, because it was the most fun I had as a Knicks fan in almost a decade. I just don't think what Julius Randle did last year is sustainable at his level and looking at his historic seasons or his past previous seasons. I think he's going to be a good player this year. I think he could be an all-star again. And I think maybe an all-NBA team, but that's what I don't think is going to happen. I think there's a chance or a good chance he won't be that. He could be an all-star. He averaged 24 points last year, 10 rebounds, 6 assists in his age 26 season. He shot 41% from 3, and I think that's where he's going to decline. I think him and maybe some other Knicks like Derrick Rose, RJ Barrett, they're going to regress to the mean, and they're not going to be as good of three-point shooters that they were in 2021. So I could see Randle's three-point shooting going from 41% maybe down to 38% where he's kind of been. He was a 38%. I do want to see if I'm right about some of these. So yeah, like I obviously knew Julius Randle wasn't going to do this. I think this was a pretty easy one. His three-point percentage actually dropped to 30%, which is below his career average. His field goal percent dropped well below his career average. He's averaged 20 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. He's not been a good defender this year. Still a turnover machine for the Knicks. A lot of technical fouls. Not really been a great team player. Yeah, I was right. I'm 1 for 1 with Julius Randle. He's definitely not as good as he was last year. And you could say he was bad this year. And of course, when he gets that new contract, he's bad. 34% career shooter. So 37%. I think his field goal percentage can stay around the same, but since his three-point percentage might drop, it could drop as well. I think free throw percentage could drop also. He was a career... Did his free throw percentage drop? It did to a 75%. 70% shooter going into the year, 72% guy, and he shot 81% from the line, so there's a chance that could also regress as well. And then he also averaged a career high in turnovers, and that could also stay the same because, hey, you would say he didn't improve that aspect if he doesn't go down from the 3.4 turnovers per night. But I don't mean to hate on Julius Randle a lot. He was incredible last year. He wasn't very good in the playoffs, so we'll see if the Knicks make the playoffs and if he's good in the playoffs once again. I just think there's a good chance that Randle isn't as good as he was last year. Okay. Next up, we have a player that I feel like this front office just loves, and he really hasn't been good since 2017, 2018. And that player is Yusuf Nurkic of the Portland Trailblazers. Now, Nurkic has been dealing with injuries. So before I get into it, let me just pull it up. I think I was wrong about Nurkic. I think Nurkic was actually a fine big man this year in the games he played in. And obviously Portland, like you could say, yeah, like he blew out his 2021 season and he improved mightily. So I was wrong about Yusuf Nurkic this year. And you could say like he also was playing pretty good on a really bad Blazers team or really like, I guess, uneventful Blazers team. He averaged 15 points this season, 11 rebounds, up from last year where he had 11 points, 9 rebounds. His field goal percentage went up. And his free throw percentage went up as well. Yeah, I'm wrong about this one, so I'm 1 for 2 so far. For the last 2 years, he only played 8 games in 2020. He only played 37 games, so a little bit more, literally 1 game more than half a season last year, and he wasn't very good in those 37 games he played, and I think his defense has been on a downward spiral since 2018, where he ended up having not a bad season. I just think injuries are catching up with Yusuf Nurkic a little bit. I don't think he was very good to begin with. Now, I do think he was, I would say a top 15 center, and I think his contract is it's at fair value, where he's making around $12 million a year, and he's in the final year of his contract. I just think the public perception of Yusuf Nurkic, and I think it comes into the media and the Trailblazers themselves, that Nurkic isn't that good, and I don't think he's ever been versatile on the offensive end. So then you're kind of looking at somebody that's like a Clint Capella, a Rudy Gobert, but he doesn't really do much on the defensive end, where it justifies him not being versatile and very limited on the offensive end. And I'll give him some credit. He has improved his playmaking ability since pretty much the last 3 or 4 years. He's averaging over 3 assists a night, which I like, but that's also resulted in his turnovers going up, and his fouls per game has also been going up. So I just think Nurkic isn't as good as people maybe make him out to be, and I don't think he's going to have a great season, and I think that the Blazers should have looked to move him a little bit more this past offseason.
Okay, so in hindsight, it's probably best they didn't move him, because now they can kind of sell high on his value if they're blowing it up around Damian Lillard. So yeah, I was definitely wrong about this one. 1 for 2 so far. Who's number 3?
So no pun intended for this player. I did mention him with the pun in my top 5 guys, and I kind of hate him. I do. And his last name is Love, and that's Kevin Love of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So if you even heard me talk about Kevin Love in the 2018-19 season, so basically 3 seasons ago, I said he wasn't very good anymore, and he was 29 years old, and he's just been getting worse and worse. It seems like he has not been efficient at all from the field. He wasn't bad in the COVID year. In 2020, he actually had a nice bounce back year from 2019. In 2019, he wasn't very good. In 2021, he wasn't very good. Who knows if he's even going to play for the Cavs this year? He has not been a good leader whatsoever for them. His turnovers have been kind of going up a little bit since his end of the LeBron Cavs days, and going up from once they were in the Minnesota days. His field goal percentage, 38% in 2019, 40% in 2021. It's just not very good for Kevin Love. I think he's just lost massive steps on the defensive end. He's not as good of a rebounder as he once was. And I'm just not a big fan of Kevin Love this year. If he ends up as a Cav, a Clipper, a Heat, I just don't want anything to do with him.
All right, so I think I'm also wrong about Kevin Love. I don't know if he's improved as like a leader for this Cavs team, but he's been a veteran presence on I don't think they're an overachieving Cavs team, but a good Cavs team this year that are going to probably end up as the 7th seed. Hopefully they make the playoffs. I would be very upset if they don't make the playoffs. But yeah, 13 points this year, 38 from 3, 84 from the line. He's been a very good shooter, 7 rebounds. His points have been up this year, and has his minutes gone up that much? No, his minutes have actually gone down this year, at least from last year, averaging more points, I guess slightly less rebounds, slightly less assists, but the efficiency's up, and that's the main thing. I guess I can really just kind of go into Kevin Love's true shooting, because that's what I really thought was going to drop off. But a 58% true shooting this year, better than last year. I guess from 2 years ago, not great. But that's the kind of season I said he did well in that COVID year. But yeah, I think he's slightly been better this year, and he's been a good enough bench player and veteran on the team where he's worth having, and he's not like a sunk cost, and he's not unplayable. So that's what I kind of envisioned Love to be, or at least he was going to get traded out of Cleveland this year. So I am 1 for 3 so far, so not off to a great start.
Another player that I don't really like this season too much is Marvin Bagley of the Sacramento Kings. Now, I don't think it's really on Marvin Bagley himself. It's really just kind of the position and atmosphere he's in Sacramento, because he hasn't proved to stay healthy at all throughout his 3 years in the NBA. He played 62 games as a rookie. All right, he only missed 20 games, but then he ended up playing 13 games in 2020, and then 43 games, a little bit over half the season last year. His offense has kind of been plateaued at around 14 points a night. His three-point percentage really hasn't been improved at all. Now, he did have his best three-point percentage season of his career last year, but I don't think it's anything crazy where it's going to be a big part of his game. His defense hasn't been getting better, which shows he's been a liability on that end. His free throw percentage got insanely worse this season. He shot 57% from the line, and I think I would have been a bigger fan of Marvin Bagley next year if he was just on a different team. I'm just really getting tired of him in Sacramento, and I don't think he's really going to be that player that the Kings thought they were drafting at the 2nd overall pick. And it will haunt them forever because Trae Young, Shai Gilgeous, Jaren Jackson Jr., and definitely, or especially, Luka Doncic
went after him. So yeah, I'm hoping Bagley's maybe in a Simmons deal. Maybe he's in a Siakam deal one day. I'm just not a big fan of Bagley this season in Sacramento.
Okay, so Marvin Bagley got traded this year, thank God. And I'm watching like these highlights of Marvin Bagley as they're up on the screen. Man, Marvin Bagley, like, it was, even though like we can tell in the rookie seasons that they messed up, but he was like an exciting young player for the Kings. Like him and De'Aaron Fox, you thought was going to be like that point guard power forward duo for the next couple of seasons minimum. And like 62 games his rookie year. Didn't really start, but averaged 15 points in his rookie season and 7.5 rebounds. That's impressive, no matter how bad the defense is or how bad the team is. Like, you would take that because the efficiency is not that bad. And then in 2020, barely played, COVID year. The next year, he plays a little bit more than half the season or like around half the season. And then this year, he gets traded, and he's only played 48 total games this year. He has been better for Detroit, but like, how much is that as empty stats, and how much of that can he actually prove to be important on a good team? So since being traded, like, I guess we could see, like, he's had, like, a good span of games. Like, this span right here, 13 games. He's averaged 16 points, 7 rebounds, 57 from the field. It's weird. Like, he's had good games, but, like, some of his best performing games, they've lost. Like, he had 27 here against the Knicks, lost by 2 points, lost by 3 to Washington. I mean, at least they were close games. Yeah, he had a nice 20-11 game. They beat Orlando here. All right, I mean, I don't know if this is a miss or a hit. I think Bagley maybe has gotten better. I mean, he's probably been the same. I would say this is like a 0.5. I wouldn't say this is a hit or a miss, so I would say I'm probably at a 1.5 out of 4. Let's see who the last player is.
I know. And then the last player that I'm not a huge fan of this year is going to be Victor Oladipo of the Miami Heat. It's a shame because injuries are a big part of some of the players on this list, like Kevin Love, like Yusuf Nurkic, and even like Marvin Bagley, but I don't know if we're ever going to see Oladipo again from what we once saw him in 2019 when he won Most Improved Player. Excuse me, that was 2018. But yeah, he got hurt in 2019. He came back in 2020, and then the season got cut short. He played 9 games for the Pacers in 2021, then got traded to Houston, then got traded to Miami the same season, in which he was not having a good season whatsoever, and then got hurt, and he's going to miss the start of the season for the Miami Heat. So I'm just not a huge fan of Oladipo this year because he's going to come back. He's going to not have really played full pace basketball in almost a year. He's going to be behind Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, and even Tyler Hero in the pecking order there when it comes to scoring, I think, right away. So I would just sell any stock that I have in Victor Oladipo. And those are...
All right, so Oladipo probably missed a little bit more time this season than I thought he would. And in the 7 games he's played for the Miami Heat, he's at 8 points, 2 rebounds. He shot well from 3 at least. Is that on good volume? It is on good volume. So he's been a good 3-point shooter, and he's only played, oh my goodness, 29, 33, 40 games in the last 3 years. That's crazy. So I guess like his numbers have diminished. I mean, his minutes per game is only at 19. I would say this is sadly a hit, just because of it took him longer to come back. I mean, the stock I was saying to sell in Victor Oladipo was like his Indiana Pacer, even a little bit of his Houston Rockets stock, and he has just not been great in Miami. But he's like honestly looked good enough as a bench player for the Heat to like be getting minutes in the playoffs. It could be like an X factor for them. Like he just had 21 points against the Raptors, and like is showing. And like, and I watched a little bit of this game. They were without Jimmy Butler, and he's shown that he could maybe be the Oladipo of old, or at least a really good player. So I think this is still a hit, even though he could be a very, I guess, impactful player for them in the playoffs. But you could say this is a half a hit, but I knew like injuries were going to come into play with him. So I would say I went, 2.5 out of 5. I hit 50% of these because I gave myself a half on Bagley. But you guys can let me know what you think down below on these, that I only hit Julius Randle, or would you say I also hit Oladipo and Bagley? Yeah, but I mean, Nurkic got hurt again this year. I mean, like, I guess going back on Nurkic, that was the thing with him, like injury prone. That's why I'm like, I mean, he only played 56 games. But how much was that, like, just Portland not being in, and like, let's keep this guy healthy for next year in his age 28 season. So that could be it. I'll give myself 2.5 out of 5. Let me know what you guys think down below. And let me know if you guys want to see 5 players I loved for this season. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.